Hello and welcome back to the No Dig Norfolk Gardener. Today what we want to do is to remove these peas and that will then make room and ready for some succession plantings. And if you're a follower of our channel, you'll know that toward the end of the May, beginning of June, we actually sowed some seeds of, it was Romanesco, cauliflower and some cabbages. And I want to put these in here. Now, I did say to Mrs. W that what we needed to do first was to do a final pick of these peas. And she assured me that this has been done, but I don't know. There's a Brucey bonus for Barry. You're not getting these? There is such a disease called pea blindness. So, what I'm going to do is to cut these stems down. I shall leave the roots in the ground. I think I said when we did the broad beans that there is a line of thought that because these fix their own nitrogen, there's still some left in the roots and they can put it into the ground. And I can't tell you if that's true or it's not true, but what me and Mrs. W have observed over the years is that the brassicas that follow the beans grow really, really well. So I'd like to think that it's a good idea to leave those roots in the ground. But even if I didn't want to do it for that reason alone, whether it be cabbages or whatever we harvest from the garden, we always look to twist things out of the garden and leave the other roots in the ground. It helps to, it'll break down into the soil and then will help feed the following plants that will follow those. So we're going to get on with this and then we shall come back to you once these are cleared. So we have the peas out. One of the things we did have to do, and bearing in mind that we garden on heavy clay soil, those stakes were in there quite a bit. So what we've done is just loosen them by putting a bit of water down them, give them a good old wiggle, and eventually out they came. And you can see actually just how deep they were in there by looking down the hole. They were a good 2 foot into the ground. Great so that the peas didn't go over in the wind, but took a little bit of work getting out. So you can see the state of the garden after the peas have come out, and all I'm trying to do now is just roughly level this. What's going in here are some brassicas which have already been sown into modules, so it doesn't have to be extraordinary level. So long as it's roughly level, that will be absolutely fine. So I'll just finish doing this and then we should get some planting done. We've dibbed our holes and we're now ready for our next planting. And aside from having less weeds in a no dig garden, this is one of the things that I really see a huge benefit from. You know, on the very same day, I can clear what was here, prep the ground very quickly because there's so few weeds to pull, give it a rake over so it's roughly level, dib the holes, my plants are already ready and we can get on with planting. And as I said in the jobs for July, the great thing is that if you sort of sow your seeds when we did, these have already had 4 to 5 weeks of growth. So you can see that these cauliflower, which is a variety called Triumphant. This is a variety that should come ready during December. It's called the Christmas cauliflower, the cauliflower for Christmas. It's got a nice little root system. We've dibbed our holes. And these plants have got quite large, so I'm going to plant them quite deeply. And there we are. Same with the next, and in she goes. And in the row beside me, I'm going to be planting out another variety of cauliflower, which is called Autumn Giant, which we sowed toward the end of May, early June. And they're also ready to go out. So we'll get on with this. I'll just come back to you. There is a row of triumphant cauliflower, which is the Christmas cauliflower, and should come ready during December and into January. And then we have a row of Autumn Giant. Now that cauliflower will be anywhere between late September, October, and indeed into November. Although I think this will probably be ready sort of October time because of we sowed it towards the end of May. And if you remember in the previous video, but it's certainly a couple of videos back, we actually sowed some more Autumn Giant seed. So hopefully when they go in elsewhere in the garden, then we'll have that harvest for November. We've also put some Ormskirk cabbages in, and also a row of Romanesco cauliflower. And that will be really interesting because actually myself and Mrs. W, although we've tried it over the years, we've actually never brought it to a harvest. So I'm hoping with the new dig and the way we've got things set up now that will come to harvest. Now you may notice that there's a spare hole here, and there will be one or two about as we start planting things for the autumn and winter harvest. And the reason for that is that sometime later this month I want to sow some red cabbage. So the reason why we have that particular variety is we want to sow it in July to plant out in August, and then it should be ready during November, and then we can make our braised red cabbages that'll be ready for us to eat over that period sort of during December and into January, over that festive period, which is when we really like to eat that sort of produce. Now you may also notice that although I've left the 18-inch pathway between here, what we did discover is that we don't have any netting to actually do it individually. I have actually got some on order, and that should arrive really soon, within the next 3 to 4 days, and then we can actually net these individually and leave the path down here so that we can get to it to weed nicely. But for now, you know, it is the beginning of July, first week in July. There are lots of white cabbage butterflies about, and of course if they get in there and lay their eggs, there will be no brassicas. There'll be nothing for you to eat. So for now, as a temporary measure, this is a huge piece. It normally goes over the bigger hoots, which will go over the sprouts which are next door, or the purple sprouting broccoli. But for now, because these plants are still only about a foot high, that wooden frame is fine just keeping there until the other EnviroMesh arrives. Now what I have had is a lot of people ask me about where we get the hoops from, where we get the EnviroMesh and the mesh from that we use. And what I have discovered, which I didn't know before, is I can actually add links into the description. So if you think that what we're doing is a really good idea, and the way in which we net our brassicas and the system that we use, you can just go down the description and click on the link, and it will take you to where we bought it from. And hopefully that will help you, because I do get a lot of people ask me, where do you get the blue piping from? Where do you get the mesh from? Where do you get this from? So from now onwards on the channel, if we're using something, I'm just going to put the product descriptions in there so that you can just click that link and go to it. And if you so wish to buy it, it's entirely up to you. And then the next time that we do some succession planting, there'll be plants that will see us through into the new year. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please leave us a thumbs up. That's always great. And of course, always leave your comments. We love to hear your comments, what you're putting in the ground, what you're doing. We really love to get your comments. Even Mrs. W, she loves going through them. You haven't answered one of your comments, you need to get on there and answer that. So yeah, we really do. We really love to, because it is a community. And you know, although it's the New Dig Norfolk Gardener, this is our channel. It's not mine. It's not yours, it's our channel. We are a community, and the more experiences we can share together, the more we all learn. We're never too old to learn, and there's always something new to learn each and every day. We shall see you on the next video.